Welcome to our open book. Very good to be with you um, again tonight. Still don't have our space downstairs, but I hope that'll be taken care of in a few days. Hi there, Joan Denny, SR, Rhonda, Scott Morak, Mark Gladstone, Maureen Montgomery, Emil Hubschman, Ralph Rice, Martha Richard, Carla Atkinson, Mr. Dickens. Thank you. Nice of you to say that. Hello there, John James, and Laura Dominic, and our new friend Lucy Fellow and Mark Kimball. So we're continuing to read In Cold Blood. We haven't yet read about KB, that's Kansas Bureau of Investigation Agent Al Dewey, a man that Capote and I think readers grew to greatly admire. And of course, this was such a well-known, I said celebrated, may not be quite the word, although I'm certain it could be used, notorious case. It brought a lot of attention to what they were doing, some of which we can see, a lot of which we can't see. The way it, I think, upended the personal lives of some of the agents involved. And we get a peek at this with this passage about Alvin Dewey and the continuing investigation. Hi there, John Mahoney. So let me read. And I must say, we have a couple of copies of In Cold Blood, special editions that are, yes, that was Daisy, that are in boxes downstairs because we had to rearrange stuff. And I happened to buy this at, what was it, New York Public Library. Discount table. Can you imagine? Hark, I hear a poodle. Yes, Daisy Richard Simone. So, this section. I think you're right, Esther. It was 3 a.m, and the telephone rang again. Not that the hour mattered. Al Dewey was wide awake anyway, and so were Marie and their sons, 9-year-old Paul and 12-year-old Alvin Adams Dewey Jr. For who could sleep in a house, a modest one-story house, where all night the telephone had been sounding every few minutes? As he got out of bed, Dewey promised his wife, "This time I'll leave it off the hook." But it was not a promise he dared keep. True, many of the calls came from news-hunting journalists or would-be humorists or theorists. "Al, listen, fella. I got this deal figured out. It's a suicide murder. I happen to know Herb was in a bad way financially, spreads pretty thin. So what does he do? He takes out a big insurance policy." Or anonymous persons with poison pen minds. But most of those who telephoned were responsible citizens wanting to be helpful. "I wonder if you've interviewed Nancy's friend, Sue Kidwell. I was talking to the trial, and she said something struck me. She said the last time she ever spoke to Nancy told her Mr. Clutter was in a real bad mood. He had been the past 3 weeks. She thought he was very worried about something, so worried he'd taken to smoking cigarettes." Either that or the callers were people officially concerned, law officers and sheriffs from other parts of the state. This may be something, may not be. But a bartender here says he overheard 2 fellows discussing the case in terms made it sound like they had a lot to do with it. And while none of these conversations had as yet done more than make extra work for the investigators, it was always possible that the next one might be, as Dewey put it, the break that brings down the curtain. On answering the present call, Dewey immediately heard, "I want to confess." He said, "To whom am I speaking, please?" The caller, a man, repeated his original assertion and added, "I did it. I killed them all." "Yes," Dewey said. "Now, if I could have your name and address." "Oh, no, you don't," said the man, his voice thick with inebriated indignation. "I'm not going to tell you anything, not till I get the reward. You send the reward, then I'll tell you who I am. That's final." Dewey went back to bed. "No, honey," he said, "nothing important." Just another drunk. What did he want? He wanted to confess, provided we send him the reward first. Kansas paper, the Hutchinson News, had offered $1,000 for information leading to the solution of the crime. Alvin, are you lighting another cigarette? Honestly, Alvin, can't you at least try to sleep? He was too tense to sleep, even if the telephone could be silenced, too fretful and frustrated. None of his leads had led anywhere except perhaps down the blind alley toward the blankets of walls. Nevertheless, there had been two meaningful developments. First, while sorting Nancy's clothes, Mrs. Elaine Seltzer, her aunt, had found tucked in the toe of a shoe a gold wristwatch. Second, accompanied by a KBI agent, I think KBIA is one of our stations, KBI agent, Mrs. Helm had explored every room at River Valley Farm, toured the house in the expectation she might notice something awry, and she had. Happened in Kenyon's room, one of the sons who was killed. Mrs. Helm looked and looked, paced round and round the room with pursed lips, touching this and that, Kenyon's old baseball mitt, Kenyon's mud-spattered work boots, his pathetic, abandoned spectacles. All the while she kept whispering, "Something here is wrong. I feel it. I know it. Where is Kenyon's little radio?" Taken together, these discoveries forced Dewey to consider again the possibility of plane robbery as motive. Surely that watch had not tumbled into Nancy's shoe by accident. She must, lying there in the dark, have heard sounds, footfalls perhaps, that led her to suppose thieves were in the house, and so believing must have hurriedly hidden the watch, a gift from her father she treasured. As for the radio, a great portable made by Zenith, no doubt about it. The radio was gone. All the same, Dewey could not accept the theory that the family had been slaughtered for a paltry profit. A few dollars and a radio. To accept it would obliterate his image of the killer, or rather killers. He and his associates had definitely decided to pluralize the term. The expert execution of the crimes was proof enough that at least one of the pair commanded an immoderate amount of cool-headed slyness and must be, a person too clever to have done such a deed without calculated motive. Then, too, Dewey had become aware of several of the particulars that reinforced his conviction. How else to explain the mattress box? The business of the mattress box was one of the things that most tantalized Dewey. Why had the murderers taken the trouble to move the box from the far end of the basement room and lay it on the floor in front of the furnace? Unless the intention had been to make Mr. Clutter more comfortable, to befriend him while he contemplated the approaching knife. But the couch less rigid than cold cement. And in studying the death scene photographs, Dewey had distinguished other details that seemed to support his notion of a murderer now and again moved by considerate impulses. Hi, David Pacini. Or, he could never quite find the word he wanted, something fussy and soft. Those bed covers, now what kind of person would do that? Tie up two women the way Bonnie and the girls were tied, and then draw up the bed covers, tuck them in, like Sweet Dreams and Good Night, on the pillow under Kenyon's head. First I thought maybe the pillow was put there to make his head a simpler target. No, I think no, it was done for the same reason. The mattress box was spread on the floor. But speculations such as these, though they absorbed Dewey, did not gratify him and give him a sense of getting somewhere. The case was seldom solved by fancy theories. He put his faith in facts, sweated for and sworn to. The Quantity of facts to be sought and sifted, and the agenda plan to obtain them promised perspirations aplenty. By the way, do you notice the use that seems of the wordplay? Quantity of facts to be sought and sifted, promised perspiration aplenty. Wow. Dewey's wife dozed, but she awakened when she felt him leave their bed, heard him once more answering the telephone, and heard from the nearby room while her son slept sobs and a small boy crying. Paul? Ordinarily, Paul was neither troubled nor troublesome, not a whiner ever. He was too busy digging tunnels in the backyard or practicing to be the fastest runner in Finney County. This is, of course, Alvin Dewey's son. But at breakfast that morning, he'd burst into tears. The Reverend Flowers. His mother had not needed to ask him why. She knew that although he understood only hazily the reasons for the uproar all around him, he felt endangered by the harassing telephone, the strangers at the door, and his father's worry-wearied eyes. That's a great phrase, worry-wearied eyes. She went to comfort Paul, his brother 3 years older, helped. Paul, he said, you take it easy now. Tomorrow I'll teach you to play poker. That's well said, Rhonda. Dewey was in the kitchen. Marie, searching for him, found him there, waiting for a pot of coffee to percolate, and with the murder scene photograph spread before him on the kitchen table. Bleak stains spoiling the table's pretty fruit-patterned oilcloth. Once he'd offered to let her look at the picture. She had declined. She said, I want to remember Bonnie the way Bonnie was, and all the others. He said, maybe the boys ought to stay with Mother. His mother, a widow, lived not far off in a house she thought too spacious and silent. Grandchildren were always welcome. For just a few days until. Alvin, do you think we'll ever get back to normal living? Mrs. Dewey asked. Normal life was like this. Both worked. Mrs. Dewey as an office secretary, and they divided between them the household chores, taking turns at the stove and sink. When Alvin was sheriff, I know some of the boys teased him, used to say, look yonder, here comes Sheriff Dewey, tough guy, totes a 6-shooter, but once he gets home, off comes the gun. On goes the apron. At the time, they were saving to build a house on a farm that Dewey had bought in 1951, 240 acres, several miles north of Garden City. The weather was fine, and especially when the days were hot and the wheat was high and ripe. He'd like to drive out there and practice his draws, shoot crows, tin cans, or let his imagination roam through the house he hoped to have and through the garden he meant to plant and the under trees yet to be seeded. He was very certain that someday his own oasis of oaks and elms would stand upon these shadeless plains. Someday, God willing. A belief in God and the ritual surrounding that belief. Church every Sunday, grace before meals, prayers before bed. An important part of Dewey's existence. I don't see how anyone can sit down to a table without wanting to bless it, Mrs. Dewey once said. Sometimes when I come home from work, I'm tired. But there's always coffee on the stove and sometimes a steak in the icebox. The boys make a fire to cook the steak, and we talk and we tell each other our day, and by the time supper is ready, I know we have good cause to be happy and grateful. So I say thank you, Lord, not just because I should, but because I want to. Now Mrs. Dewey said, "Alvin, answer me. Do you think we'll ever have a normal life again?" Alvin started to reply, but the telephone stopped. Wow. Satisfaction. They sometimes just see the people involved in an investigation as cops, prosecutors. Takes a toll. And then this murder, so intimate of a family that was loved, inexplicably savage. Yeah, yes. So thank you for being with us tonight on, oh, that's so well said, Rhonda. Thanks for being with us tonight on our open book. Very good to be with all of you. We will post this to X and to, I think it goes to Instagram and it goes to Blue Sky and it goes to, I forget all of them. That's, yeah, and it can take a toll on reporters, Mark Gladstone. You're absolutely right. Nothing this horrific in my reportorial career. I do remember a man named Lee Hall, but I won't talk about that tonight. Threads. Thanks, SR. Oh, Substack, yeah. We're on Substack. So thanks very much for being with us tonight on our open book. We will see you tomorrow. I hope. Take care. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye.